All right, so once again, good afternoon, everyone, or good morning, depending on where you are in the world. Welcome to Onsite Insights Live. My name is Leah Nicole Smith. I am the Vice President of Education and Performance for Satisfax and Apartment Ratings, and this is session one of our Reputation is Everything series. So we have 3 sessions where we are just going to talk all things reputation management, how to really sort of make the most of those online reviews, how to turn things around. If, maybe yours isn't looking so great, I am here to help. And I'm going to give you some really good strategies that you can take away and start working with today. So part one is turning readers into renters. I have some data that's really interesting on the number of people that go to apartment ratings to write a review versus the number of people who are there to actually read a review. And when we get data like this, it really starts to shape sort of, the idea of what are we supposed to be doing with all of these online reviews? What's the best thing that these teams and communities and companies can do with all of these online reviews? I think we're at a good point right now where it's important to respond, it's important to look at the scores and ask your residents to post reviews and all that kind of good stuff. Okay, so they've posted these reviews, now what? What do we do now? So that's what this session is all about. And again, it's just part one of a 3-part series. Upcoming sessions in August, we're going to be talking about how to do some damage control, how to right the ship, turn things around, get your scores moving in the right direction. If your community is currently under your city average, this is definitely a session for you. In apartment ratings, we do have a city versus community comparison. So we'll show your communities would recommend against the surrounding area. If you're hovering or if you're below, you definitely want to be in on this session. Part 3 is all about personal brand protection. So we're going to spend the first 2 sessions talking about your reputation. The last one is going to be talking about the resident's reputation and how that actually is going to help you in the long run in a multitude of ways. So we'd love to have you guys join us again for part 2 and part 3. Since you're already registered for part 1, you're automatically registered for parts 2 and 3. So you don't have to worry about, making sure that we, count you in next time around. So, quick poll. For those of you who are on the call, you can click right on your screen. I want to get an idea if we have any fresh faces in the room. Yes or no, if you've participated in previous Onsite Insights live webinars. Just getting a sense of who we have. So I'm going to do a quick 3, 2, 1 countdown. Just click right on your screen, yes or no. All right, let's go ahead and close it out. So it looks like we have 55% of you are first timers. So welcome everyone. And we have some veterans in the group, 45%. So hopefully you veterans can back me up in saying that, this is a great session. Should always join us for the 3rd Thursday of every month. So this is how it goes. For those of you who are new timers, it's a 30-minute down and dirty. We give you the goods inside of 30 minutes. So once I start talking about the info, it's 30 minutes from start to finish because we know you're busy. We'd love for you to hang around though. All the fun comes in kind of the after party when we're doing the chat, sharing best practices, throw out some questions for you guys to help. If you have questions, we open the floor up to everyone else to maybe help you out. It is being recorded, so if halfway through you realize, man, this was such good information for my assistant manager or my leasing associates, I'll make sure you get the link to the recording. I'm also going to send in a follow-up email this entire presentation. So you're going to get a link to where you can get all of the slides. You can take notes if you want, because I can promise you I will say something that's not necessarily on the slide that we're looking at, but you'll at least have the slides after the fact. Register for upcoming sessions. Please look out for subjects that are of interest to you. We'd love to have you. And the power of this entire thing really does come in with your input. You know, you don't want to just sit here and listen to me for 30 minutes. We want to hear from you as well. You know, we're all in this together, and we're sharing as many best practices and ideas as we can to just improve the overall experience for our residents. When that's happening, it actually makes your life a lot easier. Less phone calls, less, you know, deer in the headlights when a resident just kind of blindsides you with things. So love to have you guys. Thank you so much for being here. And all of this, these free webinars that we do would not be possible without our sponsor. SphereX.com has been our partner for over 3 years, and they are awesome. So I'm just going to take a few, like a minute, not long, so that I can introduce one of the products that they have that I think will be very beneficial to you. It's called leasingbook.com. All right, so thanks so much for SphereX and their participation. You know, again, these are great partners. We have worked with them for years, and please, in my follow-up email, I will send you additional information to check out what they have to offer. Great people. So getting into the info, so if you're starting my 30-minute clock, you can start it right now. We know, based on the results of our 2017 online renter study, 81% of all the people who were looking for an apartment home conducted some kind of research online before they made any contact with the community. So before they emailed, before they picked up the phone, before they, you know, drove up and wanted to take a tour, 8 out of 10 renters did some type of online research. So we know that this is super important. So it redefines the entire leasing process, right? So when there's a need, when someone needs an apartment home, they're in this sort of research phase. They're conducting all the research, they're talking to their friends, they're reading online reviews, they're getting a good sense of, you know, do you at least make the short list, right? So by the time they actually make it out to the community, the tour itself is just to verify what they saw online is true in real life, because they've already had that picture in their head. They've already checked out the rents. If depending on the type of platform you're using, they may have already gotten a sneak peek at your availability, you know, the true rent that they would be paying, you know, so they have a good idea. They're just showing up at this point to verify you are who you say you are. So the things that now have the greatest impact on someone's decision to lease, number one is whether or not they can see the actual apartment. And this one has been number one for 2 studies in a row. So 2015, the actual apartment was number one, again in 2017. They want to see where that money is going. The model is ranks number 13th. So it's way, way down on their list of priorities. They want to see their actual apartment. Number 2 is the perception of quality of customer service. Now, they cannot see this online. They get a sense of who you are, they see your pictures and things like that, but they don't know who you are, which is why they're coming out. They want to verify the apartment. They also want to verify that you're going to be nice. You know, you're going to be helpful and capable and all that kind of good stuff, because these are things they don't see online. The third most important factor that has the greatest impact on their decision are ratings and reviews. And this is the one topic out of all the options that we ask on this survey had the biggest increase over 2015. It was rated in the 3s 2 years ago, and now it's in the 4s. Residents are finding more and more, renters are finding more and more importance on your ratings and reviews. So we really want to make sure that what's most important to them They can't see the actual apartment online, right? They can't get a sense of the quality of customer service online. They can see the tone of your website and if you're professional and stuff like that. But the actual interaction has to come in person. The only thing that they can really get a good grasp on online are your ratings and reviews. And this is the number 3 most important factor when they're trying to decide where to lease. So we have to control the story. We have to control the online story. We have to make sure that online story matches up with the offline story. And then we have to even make that, reinforce that even further by getting your current residents to talk about their on-site story, because the online story, all the website stuff, the photos, maybe your social media, they come out and visit you, so they're getting a sense of whether those things are matching up. But they also want to know, if I become a resident, what does that mean? What exactly does that mean? So we ask people who are visiting apartment ratings, why are you here? Why are you here today? Well, 58% of all the people that we polled said that they plan on signing a lease within 7 days. 91% said they're reading reviews before they make a decision. 29% say that their final site is apartment rating. So this is it for me. This is it. I'm reading these reviews and I'm going to pull the trigger. And 78% said they are basing their decision on the reviews they read that day. So time is so important. Timing is really important. So we, again, have to make sure we're taking control of the story. Residents do all their research. They come out to verify you are who you say you are. And once they are in that 7-day window, they're ready to make that decision, they are revisiting your reviews. And that is going to seal the deal. That's the trigger. Yes or no, is this the place that deserves my money? Is this the place that deserves 12 years of my life? So, and it all comes down to who they trust. These are some stats from our today's online renter study. The number 1 most trusted source are friends, family, and coworkers. We're not surprised, right? We're not surprised about that. Number 2, 70.6% trust online ratings and reviews. Now, when we look at what's ranking in the bottom, your website, advertisements, social media. Why do you think that is? It's because these are the things that we can manipulate, if you will. We can pick the best picture of the pool. We can have, the right words on our website, the appropriate text. We can use the right colors. We can pay for a PR company or marketing company to do these kinds of things for us. They need the organic element that only comes from opinions, whether it's an opinion from their friends, family, coworkers, or even people they don't even know. They're ready to go along with these online reviews, even if they don't know the person who wrote the review. So the question becomes for you, should you respond to these reviews? How engaged should communities be when it comes to these online ratings and reviews? Well, this goes back to our today's online renter study. Only 14% of all the renters we surveyed said they could care less if you respond. I don't care if there's a response or not. It's not going to move me one way or the other. Well, we have 86% of those who do care. So the odds are the people who are reading your reviews or looking at your website want to see a response from you. Because, again, we have 86% who say they care in some shape or form. 52% of them say that they think a response means that you have great customer service. And over 50% say that if they see a response by the management team, it means that you really care about your residents. So we know that these ratings and reviews are factoring in greatly in the decision whether or not to lease at a community. We also know 86% want to see some response, and we know that over half are moved in some kind of way when they moved positively when they see a response. So when you are responding, got to have 2 goals in mind. There's 2 very important things that you want to make sure you can check off when you're responding. Number 1 is you want to acknowledge the person who left the review, right? We want to thank them, or we want to recognize what they're talking about in the review, but you also don't want to miss out on an opportunity to market to those readers. Market the good things, promote the things that are going to get them closer to saying yes to your community. And I'm going to show you how to do that in the next few slides. Only about 0.05% of all the people that visit Apartment Ratings are there to write a review. Everybody else is there for research. They're there to read, they're there to make a decision. So in the very beginning, I mentioned, we get these data points every so often, and it completely changes, like, whoa, this is a significant light bulb that's turning on here. If we have more readers, way more readers than writers coming to apartmentratings.com, we need to show you guys what to do with these reviews, how to use these reviews and your responses to your advantage. So this is what acknowledgement looks like. And I just went out to Apartment Ratings and grabbed 3 responses from 3 different parts in the country, 3 different communities, and take a look at these. I'm grateful for your wonderful compliments. I appreciate your compliments. Hello and thank you for your feedback. They all kind of say the same thing. We're acknowledging the review, which is fantastic, which is what you want. You definitely want to acknowledge the person who wrote the review, but we're missing out on that second piece. The most impactful piece is marketing to the 95.5% of people who are out there reading the review. So we got to flex our muscles. We know we can make some movement happening, right? We know we can affect some change on all of these readers. So it comes down to 3 different concepts: strategic agility, brand personality, and competitive intelligence. Strategic agility is all about how do you adapt to these different reviews. One might be talking about maintenance. One might be talking about, the great movement experience that they have. We have another one that might be pointing to the fact that they never have to wait to use the treadmill at the fitness center. Are your responses adapting to these things? Because right now what we're seeing is just the acknowledgement. Thank you so much. So great to hear that you love living here. Let us know if we can help with anything else. So the keys to strategic agility: you got to get in there timely, professional responses. You have to integrate what you're learning. What are we reading? Knowledge integration. What are we learning from these reviews? And how do we create opportunities? So here's an example. This is an actual review from Apartment Ratings, and it's a great review. The building's very nice, people are friendly, they go on and on, they're talking about all the good things. They say, we don't have pets, but it's very good that there's a park for them. So they're kind of doing a little advertising for us, right? When we're talking about strategic agility, 18 days have gone by since the management issued a response. I love that there's a response, and we're happy to see one, but we want to close that gap, because think of all the people that have come to Apartment Ratings in that time frame, and they've read this review without a response. So we got to close that gap in. And the response, again, is about acknowledgement. Thank you so much for your review. We appreciate you taking the time, right? So we have to work on knowledge integration and creating opportunities. We're acknowledging the reader, but we're acknowledging the writer, the reviewer, but we're marketing to the reader. So knowledge integration is all about, what have you learned? These are the things that I see when I look at this review. If I were to write a response, the key areas that I want to target are the standouts. Maybe something my competitors can't say, maybe something they can't meet me toe-to-toe with. Corridors perfumed, and dog park, because everyone else has friendly people and it's a beautiful apartment, it's well maintained. Those things might not really trigger the yeses that we want. So we're going to kind of go with the unusual areas. So my response would look something like this: wow, your review made my day. So many kind words, I don't know where to begin. I do love that you mentioned our corridors. Our porter John takes great pride in his work. Rest assured, I will show him this review. P.S. I'll let you in on a little secret. Next time you're having a bad day, visit our dog park. It always makes me feel better. This is one of those examples of acknowledging the person who wrote the review, but sparking interest. Sparking interest, marketing your community, getting closer to the yes from the way more many prospects that are reading your reviews and your responses. So here's another example. This is a community called Marbella Apartments in Jersey City. I love this response for so many reasons. First, it was a 1.0 review, rating. the resident went on and on about, not having access to certain things. And so the manager very professionally went on to explain why it is that they don't have 24-hour access to a gym, or why certain hours are the way that they are. Subtle promotion, throughout. So I'm going to make sure you all have this, but this is a great example of how to even turn a negative online review into a positive. Giving some explanation, very professional, so that anyone who's reading this, not that they're going to discount the dissatisfaction that the reviewer is experiencing, but they're going to appreciate the engagement that they're getting from the management. If the management team has taken their time to address a 1.0 review in such a professional way, it gives a very good idea of how they can expect to be treated, right? It gives them that perception how they can be treated as a resident. Brand personality. Talked about how all these things have to match up, right? Are you who you are in real life that you say you are online? So are you catfishing your resident or your prospects, basically? So consistency between the online and on-site stories. So we have to create engagement, right? We never want to miss out on that opportunity to get closer to the yes. It's all about the renter's experience. So what would life be like should that reader become a renter? And this is a great exercise for anyone. The things that you want people to remember, the tone that you want to set, you want to repeat these things throughout your responses. You want people to get a clear sense of who you are, the personality of your community, not the personality of your management company, but the personality of the community. We know only 12% of people say that they have leased based on the brand name of the management company. So that doesn't move them. But if you can create a personality for your community, if your community was a person, what would that person be like? And does that carry over in your website, in your responses, in your personality when they show up, that whole vibe that they get on site? So I'm going to open up the questions and chat box. This is really just for questions or for you guys just to fill this in on the question. If you had to use one word that would describe your community, you can type it into that questions box, what would that one word be? Would it be fun? Would it be professional? Would it be comfortable? Type that into the questions box. What would that one word be if you had to describe your community? Oh, we have luxury, welcoming, love that. Home, accommodating, like that. Okay. Remarkable, that's fantastic. I like that. So this is a great exercise for your entire team. Maybe at your next Monday meeting or upcoming meeting, brainstorm what's that one perfect word, right? Stunning, personable, like it, upscale. So the words that you guys are coming up with, is that word consistent across the board? Would I see personable in your website? Would I see personable in the responses to your online reviews? Would I see personable if I came out and toured your community or talked to someone on the phone or read an email response back from you when I said, hey, I'm interested in a one-bedroom? Would it be personable? So that one word needs to carry through, all the way through so that it's consistent and it really triggers that response, getting you closer to yes. The CAM plant in San Antonio is a community that does this very, very well. They are, that sort of hip community, if you will. They're modern, they're hip, they're in a great area, location. It's that really sort of fun kind of area. And all of their responses has the same kind of echo. If you look at their website has that same echo. This is a response where, they got a 5.0 and the resident is talking about, it's a great place to live. I want to have my family over all the time. They're even giving little additional kind of tidbits, like don't forget to check this out. So if I were a prospect and I'm reading, I already have a current resident who's saying, I love it, there's so much to do. And then the management team is echoing that sentiment and throwing in a little bit extra on top of that. Make sure that you check out this place. They have great waffles. even when they have a not so great review, and this person is talking about valet trash, it's $22 a month, you can't opt out of it, you know, we do our trash, we take our own trash anyway. Well, they're still doing that in a very fun way, in a very comfortable way or approachable way, I would say. You know, they say, you know, just we encourage you to use it. You know, they also do your recyclables. By the way, check out this restaurant because they mentioned, the reviewer mentioned that it's close to bars and restaurants. So check out this restaurant. It's one of the favorites in our office. It puts a face on the community. So these are really easy things that you guys can do over and over again that just solidifies who you are in the minds of your prospects that are reading the reviews. The final key piece is competitive intelligence. You want to identify early on what can sabotage you. When you hear the phrase competitive intelligence, you kind of think it's like I need to get to know my competition or I need to learn as much as I can about my competition. It's actually more about learning about yourself. What could, you know, sabotage or prevent you from getting a lease or moving forward? You have to identify these things early on and you have to resolve them as quickly as you can. The longer that they resonate, the longer that they continue, the more amplified they are in the minds of your prospects that are reading these reviews. So look for common themes. Are they always talking about maintenance? Are they always talking about I can never find a parking spot, or you know, something is broken in the apartment? You know, look for all that stuff. Also, you want to look for the repeated compliments. Do they love the fact that there's such great activities going on? Do they love that the apartments have big closets, or the community is so well maintained? What is it that they love? And use that to your advantage over another community who might be trying to sway your residents. For apartmentratings.com, we're breaking down all of your topic ratings, and you want to look for any major variances. I'll show you what I mean on the next slide, because those things are going to stick out like sore thumbs for anyone who is visiting your page. And we have a great city versus community report. And in the very, very tip top of the session, I said, if your community average is below or hovering anywhere within 10% of your city average, you definitely want to join us for the next session. So in apartment ratings, this is what a screenshot would look like of a typical community. You want to make sure that if you are a Satisfax customer, there's that consistency there. 4.4, 4.7, that's definitely consistent. You want to look out for what I call drags on your score or on your performance. That 3.5 is a drag in comparison to everything else. You see how that sticks out like a sore thumb? If I were a renter and I wanted to, I'm checking you out and maybe I'm leaving where I am because I hear my neighbors all the time, this might make me say no. No matter how fantastic everything is, if this is one of those major pain points or deal breakers for me, I might turn my attention somewhere else. So you want to look out for those major variances, and that's a big one because everything else is in that 4.4 to 4.8 kind of range. Then the city versus community average. If you are close, I would say in this case 75% or below, if that was your city average versus your community. If you were at 75%, you want to join us next time around so that we can help you look more like this screenshot. 94%, so far and above, the city average, where, people, even if they say I'll come back, they'll come back and tell you, well, I'm coming back because of your online reviews. So final thoughts as we start to wrap up. The online reputation really is driven by the on-site experience. So that's where we want to start. We want to make sure that, the residents who are on-site are happy. And we also want to encourage the on-site residents who are happy to leave reviews, which is something that we're really going to get into as we start to wrap up this series. So that's going to be more like September, when we're going to talk about how to solicit those positive online reviews. Always write for the reader. You definitely acknowledge the person who wrote the review, but you want to write for the way, way more people who were there doing research in that decision-making mode. Your reviewer may not ever go back to that review. They might have left the review, you know, written the review and gone on about their day, or moved out of your community, or never visit your apartment ratings page again. But in terms of those who are reading, they are consistently reading every single day. And as the clock ticks, you get people who are closer and closer to that decision-making moment. So you don't want too much time to go by without responding to a review, because you never know who is in that 29% that said, my final site is apartmentratings.com. So part 2, which is coming up in August, it's called Reputation Management Overhaul. I'll give you guys a quick little sneak peek of what we're going to do. We're going to talk about the apartment ratings algorithm. We hear about this all the time, like, well, my score, you know, was a, 76% would recommend, and I got a positive review, but then it went down to 67% would recommend. What's going on? Or, you know, my positive reviews I get great positive reviews, but it's not helping my score. So I'm going to give you guys a sneak peek into how that is all, you know, calculated. I'm not going to give you the full answers to the test, but I'll give you a sense of how it works. I'm going to give you 5 tips for how to turn around if your reviews are mostly negative, 5 phrases that you should never use in your responses because it just kind of fans the flames. And I know a lot of people say we don't want to leave a response because we don't want the resident to come back and have something else to say. Well, I'm going to help you temper that. And then 5 changes, on-site changes that you can make right away so that you can start getting that ship going in the right direction. And I'll share with you 5 more review responses. So all of that in 30 minutes. Hope you all get a chance to join. So I did have a few questions as we started. If there are any questions out there, feel free to go ahead and chime on in. I love these 1 words that you guys are coming up with: exceptional, treasure. This is so great. I had someone who asked, will we get a copy of these slides? I will send a follow-up email. It will contain a link to the recording and also the link to our slide share so you can grab all of these slides. All right, so I want to know what you guys are doing out there in terms of your online reviews. Are you responding to every online review, or are you just responding to the negative online reviews? Or are you responding to just the positive? I would love to know what you guys are doing. Negative, only positive, or, you know, ooh, someone says every single review. Great. We respond to all. Okay, perfect. Yeah, perfect. And they like being able to respond or responding around that 1 word. Yeah, be more personable. Absolutely. All reviews, respond to all reviews. Perfect. So are you guys finding that you're doing more of like acknowledging the review? Have you started really like marketing the community, or is it more just like acknowledging the person who wrote the review? Okay, so we have people who are saying they're doing both whenever they can. Great. Acknowledging, yeah, and that's, you know, that's okay. That's all right. So hopefully this will give you guys sort of a little, you know, inside tip on how to just really promote the good things that are happening at your community. Acknowledging both when we can. Some are a little bit more difficult than others, especially if it's a really negative review. But I'm going to show you how to do that. I have a doozy of a negative review for next time around, and I wrote a response to that. So we have a comment. We ask people all the time to leave a positive review, but they don't. I guess people who are happy, they ask them to leave a review. There are really easy things that you can do, and I will show you some of those sort of follow-ups. You know, you can ask them things that you can do, that you can email to get them to leave a review. So yeah, absolutely, we can help you with that. I know the idea is not to get into it with someone who's making accusations. I'm wondering if anyone has ever tried posting a photo documenting substantial damage to a unit when a resident complains about charges against their security deposit. Yeah, well, and that's a great question. If the review if the reviewer is anonymous, I definitely wouldn't go there and post the picture like this is your apartment, we know who you are kind of thing. I do have a sample response of why a security deposit may not be returned. Uh, and we've talked about this. I've had this session before come up where there was a review where the person said they stole my security deposit. You know, I moved out, I didn't get anything back. They're crooks or they're thieves. We have a sample response. It's actually, I can email that to you all in my follow-up email about why a security deposit may not be returned. And it's just informative. You know, it just talks about these are the reasons why. So if someone's reading that response, they're like, you know what? They didn't steal this guy's security deposit. He probably damaged the apartment, and that's why he didn't get his security deposit back. So we don't necessarily need to fight fire with those kinds of reviews. All we really need to do is just educate the person who's reading the review. Fran says she does more acknowledging, but this webinar has made her look at things a little differently, so she'll start marketing to people who are reading the review. Perfect. Will you address ways to handle lies in reviews the next time or extra negative comments to overcome? I can tell you right now, lies, if there's anything that violates our user policies, you can definitely report abuse, and I'll show you reporting abuse. We have a little segment on that next time around. But if there's outright lies, what you want to do, you have to first kind of, is this person really just flagrantly lying, which maybe yes, or are they misinformed, or are they just unclear? So you might have to clarify a policy, or you might have to, you know, just sort of explain it in a way that doesn't say, okay, Mr. Reviewer, you're, you know, bold-faced lie. So yeah, you might have to clarify the policy. And it could be something just as simple as they just didn't understand. Can you get a response from that? Yes. Can we get a copy of that response? What I'll do for you guys, because we're using different reviews next time around, so they're different responses, in my follow-up email, I'll attach the 5 sort of like common reviews that we see and templated responses, or, you know, practice or sample responses. One is they stole my security deposit. Another one is talking about you know, they wouldn't allow me to do something, you know, so there's one about mold and, you know, stuff like that, safety. So I'll, you know, send you guys that, those kind of 5 response samples. Do you have ideas for overcoming prior management reviews? It depends on the timing. Great question, by the way. It depends on the timing of the review. I would say if the review is older than 6 months, don't worry about it because your prospect isn't worrying about it. But if the review is current, you know, you just took over a community, you definitely want to jump in there. You want to just introduce yourself instead of saying that review is based on the old management. You want to say, you know, hi, thank you so much for your review. Let me take a moment to introduce myself. You know, I'm the new manager here, or I became the new manager, or the new management team was installed as of this day. If you put that in there, what's going to happen is your reader is going to look for that date. So if it was July 1st, any reviews that are prior to July 1st, they're going to chalk it up to being the old company and not you. So you can definitely do that. But I wouldn't say, you know, that wasn't us, that was them. I just say, you know, we want to introduce ourselves. We're a new management team. We, you know, took over this community on July 1st. Make sure you have that date in there because your reader is going to be looking for that date. If you are implementing a new policy or engaging with your reviews, what is the oldest review that you would address? I wouldn't go back 6 months would be it for me. Because right now, if you think of it, we're in July. If you went back 6 months, you'd be January, maybe even December, and that is 2016. And that's what your prospect is going to see, 2016. To them, it's not current. You know, it's just like, oh, that happened last year. So anything 6 months, I think if you're just now starting to respond to reviews, that's kind of where you want to start. If you do go back further and there's, you know, if it's a really bad negative review and you do want to address it, I probably would, because you never know how far back your prospects are going to go. But if they're, you know, pretty neutral reviews, they're positive reviews, and they go back, you know, 8 months, I wouldn't do a whole lot about it. I would concentrate on, you know, the more current reviews that you have. All right, I'm just kind of double checking, see if we have anything happening over here. Okay, anyone else have any other questions or anything to share before I let you guys get out of here? This was good. This was actually a lot of good banter back and forth. All right, so as you start to close out of the review or out of the webinar, we do have a web survey. I would love to know if you thought this information was helpful. Please rate it on a 1 to 5. I'm good with any rating that you give us because anything is constructive. So feel free to just chime on in and let us know. I am going to be sending out a follow-up email at the latest midday tomorrow. So you may not get it this afternoon, but at the latest, it'll be midday tomorrow. I will have the link to the recording, the link to the slide share. I will attach the 5 sample review responses, and anything else I can think of to throw in that gumbo pot, I will send along with you. I'll send along for you. So thanks again for joining me, everyone. Have a great Thursday. We're almost at the weekend, and I will be in touch shortly. So take care, everybody. Goodbye.